While I was away at PAX East, the fine folks of from Free League had sent me this, what you see before you, Mork Borg, or Mork Borg, forget how to pronounce it, Ikhon. I have no idea what this is, so let's give it a look. I guess before I open it up, we've got some text on the back that I'll read. Ancient god vessels of cured skin and soot black wood, as rare and as valuable as they are blasphemous. The oldest Galgad-Beckian priestess claimed Nekrubil's left hand carved the icons with a knife, press and earth-shattering hammer strikes. Stories, myths, and promises of harbored gifts and curses are carved into rocks and monoliths dotting the dying earth. The two-headed basilisks detest them. According to church belief, wielding the powers to unfetter the profound bound within is a serious desecration. Crows are sent hunting for heretics. They find the icons, they tattle and tell, icon wielders burn. So as with most Mork Borg stuff, extraordinarily evocative, but I still have no idea what the things actually are, so let's open up the box and give it a look-see. All right, so flipping open, we've got a blank book. Oh, really? It's a blank book, or at least the cover is blank. What is actually inside of here? Okay, so we have the bilk herd. What is this? Exiled to the simple fields of the mundane dying realm, too generous and kind to the insignificant and mortal, far too often. Presently vindictive and cruel, his misguided revenge sometimes punishes his flock. Death and gifts go hand in hand. There we have the nice picture. So these are all okay. So this, I'm trying to still get a sense of what exactly is going on here. The bilk herd. Maybe that's, I guess, is this kind of a cult? I'm not sure. So this picture is of someone. Then we have a member of the bilk herd, I guess, called One. He summons his herd to the hateful goats. You are the field poisoners, earth salters, torch wielders, and slaughter's heralds. 1,000 strong, trampling all in their path and leaving only blood, sorrow, and the dust of crushed bones. All is obliterated under spiteful, churning hooves. I'm not sure if this is a chapter or the name of this particular creature. Beautiful illustrations as always. Now we have two, which is, I don't know if this is, again, I don't know if this is supposed to be an image of the two or just an illustration. There is the penitent's cry of the mournful herder, penniless and lonesome. The wealthiest present must test presence, DR12, or forever aimlessly roam the overgrazed greens with him, ragged, shuddering, deathless. And then 3 is this wonderful image of a goat or a sheep merged with looks like a jellyfish. The staff hammers the trembling ground, breaking a random bone among those assembled with a deafening crack, like an axe finding a rotten wooden core, followed by total, eerie silence. And then 4, which is a snake with antlers and a humanoid face and looks like a papal type of cap. His stories trick everyone. Tall tales and imagined mythologies hold those present in rapture. Jaws buckle and distend, accommodating a coiled mass of elongated, wagging tongues. You can't resist lying until the next dawn. I'm just trying to get. I'm not going to see. I guess I will. So these seem to be events, maybe? Did I open the wrong book first? Oh, you know what? There is. Hold on a minute. As usual, going kind of. I jumped ahead. I will go back in a minute to see this. So we have, looks like 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10 plus. So these are all, I'm guessing now we're going to roll some dice. So what I missed was inside this cover. So here we have, this is the top of the box. When you flip it on, and the inside, there is here, I think the key to what we are actually looking at. 4 profound, age-old and nigh-forgotten folk gods shackled within. When wielded, pick a random tract or roll a d4 to determine which is summoned. Roll a d8, determining their response. +1 for every willing human sacrifice. Those sacrificed must agree to be slain. You may also add +1 for each significant body part severed from the wielder of the Ikhon. The modifier can never exceed +3. Omens cannot be used to change this roll. You cannot request aid again until the effect concludes. Some effects are instantaneous. Okay, so even though now we've seen one of these, what do they call, folk gods first, at least now we understand what we're doing. So this seems like someone that you can summon or try to have commerce with. You roll, either you can, I guess, pick a random target, which I guess wouldn't be random at that point. Or you could roll a d4. So it looks like there's going to be 4 of these. And then their response, we roll a d8. Notice that we actually, in that first book, there were 10 options, and one was 10 plus. And that is because even though you can't naturally get higher than an 8 on a d8, obviously, that is because you can have those modifiers. Can't use omens to change the roll. And you can't request aid again until any effect concludes. Presumably, if you failed, maybe you can, and there is no effect. Or I guess there's always going to be some effect. I say never mind, because there's always going to be an effect, so you never have to worry about there not being one, because you're just going to roll the dice. So the first one we looked at was the bilk herd. Now the second one we've got here is the Beclure. And I'm not going to read all of the I guess the effects you can hit here, but I will read the descriptions. A beckoning, pitiless force of nature, an apparition of the drowned, residing in the age-old waters between the real and dreams. The Beclure feeds on the misery and suffering of those it lures into the water, and cannot survive without feeding the rivers and brooks. And then here's just the image. It's a very creepy face kind of in the waters. Cool. And then this would be the third one. I mean, they're not numbered, so I'm just calling it third because that happens to be how they were in my box. So this is the Old Dead. Said to be the very first to die, the Old Dead is neither the dead land's ruler nor subject, but rather a residing jester. Thoroughly enjoying her state, she beguiles the living, the dying, and the deceased. Legend contends she even roused Necrobel's laughter once. Once and only once. My brother did that to me once. The Silk Fiend. In myths and hearsay carved on rock and slab, it's alleged Necrobel, in a fit of itching frenzy, shredded his skin and organs, scattering his severed limbs across the world. Through ritual or misery, these parts attained unholy life, sprouting detestable limbs, crawling into penetralia. The Silk Fiend, still venerated in whispers, is known to be a part of Necrobel's aberrant right arm. And there we have this picture. Did I fail to do the picture of the other one? I might have in my haste. So it looks like it's a pretty neat concept. And here's the Jester of the Dead. So it's a pretty neat concept here, what we've got, which is essentially little booklets with these different faiths. Everything is very intentional with this work. So I imagine the idea here is you have these 4, and it's not going to look great on camera because they're just black. You could lay them out. You could even shuffle them if you want. Give it a quick shuffle, lay them out again. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, roll a die, see who you summon, and of course you can try to sweeten the spot through willing human sacrifice, and then see the kind of effects you get. Now, I read a couple of effects from the first book, which I'm not sure is the first book anymore, but I'll just read a couple more just to get a taste. So if we rolled, we ended up with a 5. It says, the Old Dead coughs praise towards anyone wielding 2 or more weapons previously employed in the act of murder, increasing their maximum hit points by a d6. That's nice. I mean, now look, the only downside is hopefully you've got two or more weapons previously employed in the act of murder. I mean, I'm guessing it's a game of Mork Borg, so you probably have had at least an opportunity to do that. But you don't know if that's what you're going to get, obviously. And I'll read. Let's see, what's this one? This is the Beclure. We got a 6 this time. The lure's grimy. I have to say one thing. some of these Gothic fonts I find hard to read, and so this first word, I see that that's Omega. Maybe that's Onyx. I don't know. So something Deathfish. So something Omega Deathfish. Terrible piscine teeth crunch into a nearby kneecap. 1 in 6 chance a PC loses a leg as their patella is relentlessly chewed and shaken until it sickeningly pops. So that's a gross image. Otherwise, the air-breathing fish floats above with regal, quiet patience until commanded to strike. So you basically lure this floating fish creature. 1 in 6 chance that it just attacks you and eats one of your legs. Otherwise, it's just it can hang out and then strike. The interesting thing here is, no idea what it actually does when it strikes. Presumably, maybe it's the same effect. We don't get any stats. We do get a nice image of what looks like one of those deep sea fish with the lure on the end kind of thing. But this one's hovering in the air, which is super interesting. That was the Beck lure. And then, what's this? The Silk Fiend, I guess also a 6, since I just happened to flip to there. Test toughness, or I guess first now. Hush now, you are safe, enveloped in soft silk. Test toughness, DR14, to receive the Silk Fiend's Web Blessing. Armor minus D8/tier 3. No penalties for D6 stage. Oh, sorry. D8 armor, that's tier 3 without penalties for D6 days. Actually kind of helps that I played Mork Borg at PAX East, so I'm a little bit more in the flow of the mechanics to read this. And then this must be, when we already read some from the Bilkhead, but I'll read one more. 7. The herder's wisdom manages a steady flock. His unerring command over the tractable herd is invested in those bidding for his attentions. His indistinct bond provides all witnesses +3 to presence until one passes away. So one, I think as you've seen, with all the Mork Borg stuff, very, very well designed in terms of the just look and feel. You're looking for some grittiness. You want some of that same designiness that you've gotten in other Mork Borg products. And as the other ones laid out by Johan Noor, who has laid out all the Mork Borg books, certainly stands up in that crowd. Having in little booklets is nice. They could have done this in many different ways. It could have been in a similar zine type size as some of the other stuff. Like I think Mork Borg itself, right, a zine size, and you could have done it kind of a zine size doc and had tables and done it that way. I was actually thinking maybe would these be cards? I was kind of interested. This would be some kind of Mork Borg tarot, because I had no idea until I opened the box what was inside. It's really intriguing. There's obviously a high cost to trying to summon these spirits, but I really love it that they're very distinctive. They very much are of the setting. They're certainly very much of the sort of thematic doom and gloom of Mork Borg. Everything's just what's the word? Just seems fatalistic, which I think is very fitting. Having the little separate booklets just makes it nice. Again, it's easy just to lay them out in a pile and say roll a die and pick, or even just I see now what they could say by picking randomly, because you could just have them in your hand, hold them out, fan them in your hand, say pick one, and then roll a die. So really great stuff there. As usual, one of the things I always look for in products, whether it's Mork Borg or anything, is there things I can take from this? Because maybe I'm not playing Mork Borg currently. I don't know when I will play Mork Borg, though I think I would like to run it maybe, or play in another game after having had an overall positive experience at playing it at PAX East. Is there inspirational things is there stuff in here that I think, hey, I'm not going to use this as is, but I could use this as inspiration for something I'm working on? I think the answer is yes. I like that it's giving you this idea of, hey, there are folk gods out there. And this isn't the first time this has come up. I have, I think what's called Petty Gods, which has all these sort of, I don't say little, all these interesting non-major pantheon gods that you can play with. I really like how this is giving you as a player a concrete way, or even as a DM for an NPC to do something concrete to really interface with these gods. And I've said this before, I think oftentimes we have these divinities in our games, but they're always very absent. They're very far off. Maybe the cleric, okay, in a cleric power, you're communing with a deity, but it doesn't really come across. This is really feels visceral in what you're doing, how you're communicating with them, and then what's coming back, and it's very immediate and just like, bam, it's there, and it's there. And so I think it really brings that alive in the game. So I could really see taking this and saying, well, maybe I don't want, because I'm not playing Mork Borg, this is maybe two of the setting that I'm going to use just as is in my own game. But now I'm already thinking about, oh, wow, maybe there's some sort of family gods or smaller gods, or maybe the gods of forest and fen and glen that I could see building up some of these tables or some method. I'm probably not going to print out little books for myself, but I can certainly see taking these out, putting them in tables to have for my own reference. Super interesting stuff as always. Thanks again to Free League for sending it to me. Let me know if you're interested in me going through it page by page. I don't think it's necessary. I think it's a small, very flavorful supplement. When I asked about them at the booth at PAX East, they had sold out. So it definitely very popular. I think it is one of those things that when you have it in your hand in person, it just, the character, the design, everything comes across, which I think is often with a lot of the Mork Borg stuff. This stuff is, in Free League in general, stuff is just high quality. So when you see it in hand, I think that's a real draw for folks. And when I went on Sunday to talk to them, I said, "Hey, do you want to talk about Ikhon?" And he's like, "Well, we already sold out." And we ended up talking about their Kickstarter of the Walking Dead universe instead. But thanks again to them for sending to me. Let me know what you think. If you have bought these, if you download them digitally, whatever, let me know what you think about them. It's definitely given me some food for thought, which is one of the best things I can ask for in a gaming supplement. Game on, everybody. I will talk to you later. Bye now.